that if he needs something or something's wrong or wants to talk to me, that he can do so.
So he needs something. So if he needs something, he can.
He can ask, yes.
Something wrong?
Yes.
He can ask. Uh-huh. All right. Now we step in. We try that on in our first example with this little Danish boy who comes in. All right. This was the one who was crying. Carl. Now, does that definition cover it? Does it work? Did he ask? No, he didn't ask. And the little boy who was throwing things up in the air, he didn't ask. And the little girl who didn't want to talk, she didn't ask. Uh-huh. So if we go back,
Mm-hmm.
and actually I think I erred. I should have taken you.
Uh-huh.
Ideally, and now it's preserved forever. Ideally, I would take you back to that example. So if we
Okay.
go back to the example of Carl coming in.
Right.
And there he is, he's crying.
Yes.
What's important to you is that he's comfortable.
Yes.
So what do you mean by that he's comfortable?
That he feels safe. Safe in my presence. And also in the presence of the other children. Because he had drawn attention to him. Everybody was obviously looking at him because he was crying.
Feels safe in my presence?
Yes.
And
In the presence of the other children.
okay, feel safe in my presence and in the presence of other children. Okay, now, using the mistake I just made, that's a good example for us budding modelers of a couple of things. One is this, as we said, this is a process. This is an interaction you're having with somebody, and it's my experience that modeling is something that she and I are doing together. I'm not doing it to her. This is something we're doing together. There's plenty of paper and ink in the world. You make a mistake, you just cross it out and do it again. That's no problem. The other thing I think is important to point out is that the person's experience is always there. In other words, sometimes people think that since they've asked about something and they've gotten a response, well, they've already done that and they can't go back. But you can go back 1,000 times, as many times as you want. The experience is always going to be there. If you've missed it or if you've muffed it up somehow, you can always go back and do it again. And if it's truly there, it will always be there. Okay? So you don't have to worry about that. So now, first of all, making sense out of this. Mm-hmm. If we step into that situation, it's important to us that this child feel comfortable. By that we mean feel safe in my presence and in the presence of other children. When we do that, do we find ourselves moving towards engaging, doing the kinds of things Shireen does? Does it support the ability that she has? Yeah, it does. It does. feel safe in my presence and in the presence of the other children. So that's what being comfortable is, feeling safe in my presence and in the presence of other children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I know the other thing. I knew there was something else. I asked her the question, and she answered. The first thing she says, well, the child feels safe. Yeah? Did I move? Did I?
You moved a little bit and you saw her and then you went,
Yeah. Why?
because you saw the shed were the same.
Exactly, Rachel. That's exactly right. One of the things to pay attention to when you're modeling is when people are done, when they're not, when they're still busy. You know, when they're busy, you see inside, you can see that she's busy. Let them be busy. Don't feel that you need to be jumping in, helping out all the time. Let them do whatever thinking, working that they're doing until they've come to the end, they've come back. It's very important to let them have time to have their access to their experience. Okay? Very, very much recommend that. All right? So, and you could tell when she was done, right? There comes a time when she goes, boom, period. That's it. Feel safe in my presence and in the presence of other children. So that is what feeling comfortable is.
Mm-hmm.
So now if we go back to being with the little Korean girl,
Mm-hmm.
Was that what being comfortable was with her as well?
Yes, it was to feel safe in my presence, but obviously there were no other children around when I was teaching her.
And
She was on her own.
Right, right. Now, just so
Mhm.
that I can check this out, later on there were children around her,
Yes.
and you still wanted her to be comfortable.
Yes,
And at that point, then it became relevant that
yes,
she be
absolutely.
feel safe in the presence of the other children.
Yes.
Right. And then also with the first Danish boy who came in, what about him? He comes in, he's angry. Did you want him to feel safe in your presence?
Yes, I wanted him to feel safe in my presence. But as regards to the other children, he was quite aggressive. So I could turn that around and say I wanted the other children to feel safe in his presence.
Good, good. So, the fact that she is good at what she does, the fact that she has this, you know, we might look at that and go, oh, what a wonderful criterion and definition. That doesn't absolve her from having problems. It doesn't absolve her from being in situations that create conflicts in her because of her definition, because of her criterion. Because she wants them to feel safe in her presence and in the presence of the other children, that's where her attention is. Suppose instead, for her, feeling comfortable had nothing to do with others. It only had to do with, do they feel safe in my presence? Then she would have had, what would her response be when this kid comes in who's angry and throwing things around? Oh, as long as he's comfortable, it's okay. You see, she wouldn't be concerned about the other children. Do you guys follow me on this? Okay. So this it's just to me a good example that this is real. This is really what's going on in her experience, and that there can be certain contexts or situations that create conflicts that can't be resolved or difficult to resolve given who she is as a person. All right? Okay. That is the criterion and its definition. I think that's enough for now. I think we'll go to lunch. I don't even think we'll go to lunch. I'm absolutely certain we'll go to lunch. Get some air, and when we come back, we'll fill out the rest of the belief template, and then